This is Nothing Coherent. I'm Brandon.
I'm Zach.
And this is our little guest,
Jacob.
Okay, so today we're talking about Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Do our pros, cons, and our final verdict on it. I love this movie. I adore it. I actually think it's in my top 10 this year, for sure. It is the best Spider-Man movie, for sure. I think they nailed the character of Miles. They made the new Peter very interesting. It was a nice, cool twist, getting to see Gwen in there, and then getting to see Spider-Man Noir, Spider-Ham, and I don't remember the Japanese ones.
Penny Parker.
Oh, why? Okay, all right.
That was her name. This movie is great. I love everything about it. I love the art style, the visuals on it. It literally looks like they just took a comic book that somebody wrote and they just animated every single panel to tell a story scene by scene. It is so good. All the animators and the artists in this film deserve all the credit for making that film look as unique as it is.
And I completely agree with that. Like, that was my favorite part. It just felt like I was watching a comic book on the movie screen. You know, there wasn't one part where I was bored. I was drawn in the entire time.
Yep.
I do like how each different Spider-Man or Spider-Person has a different art style behind them. Like, each one is, because they're from different comic books, so they each have, like, different, like, drawings.
They all have, like, their own feel. Like, Noir is very dark and grainy, and then you have Penny Parker, and hers is very Japanese-oriented because she's based out of anime. Really, really cool touches that they did just to make every character feel unique, even though they're not as prevalent as Miles or, say, Gwen Stacy in the film.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, each of these, versions of Spider-Man had their own personality. Even if they didn't get screen time, they made distinct differences between them, where you can kind of connect, see where they come from, and they did, like, small little origin stories for each one. And then even the humor in the movie, it was just natural. Nothing felt forced. It was just very comic book Spider-Man humor.
I really like the characters. I felt like each one got at least a moment to shine, but this was, first and foremost, Miles' movie.
Yeah.
I felt like this was their way to be like, hey, Miles can be done in live action. That we can do, like, when the day comes that Tom Holland is ready to be done.
Let's not talk about
I pray that
that
day is not soon. They're like, Miles can be done. And I think they made him very compelling. I get the comic books. Miles is also very compelling, but like this, I think to a general audience now, shows you why you should care about Miles.
Right.
I think also Gwen is a much more interesting character in this than I've ever seen her.
Yeah, I agree. Gwen Stacy, as her own counterpart to Spider-Man, to me is really interesting. I've actually read some of those comics, and I love just her entire backstory and her relationship with Peter Parker, where it's reversed. I think it's really interesting to see her interact with a different Peter Parker who is also Spider-Man now. That was a really compelling part for me, and I hope if they have a sequel where all these characters interact again, that we just get more of Gwen, because I thought that she was a really fun character to add.
I do like, and this is a minor spoiler, I like the Peter we get with Miles. This Spider-Man that has not lost, like, a battle, but is just lost the battle of his life. Like, that he has lost control of everything because he can't balance being Spider-Man and maintaining a relationship. That with Miles' help, they help each other. They play off each other very well.
They have that classic Peter Parker struggle that anybody who's read the comics can relate to. Like, oh, I'm behind on rent. I'm getting evicted. You know, like how the game that came out earlier this year they gave us that in the form of Spider-Man in this movie, and that made us really root for him. But it also didn't detract from Miles.
And there was a great balance, like you guys were talking about, between the two. Introducing Miles. Like comic book fans recognize the name Miles Morales, but like a general audience might not know who this is. And this is just a fun way to introduce him. Show people who might not know the name Miles Morales and show the different Spider-Man. And just bouncing out with the betrayal of Peter Parker in this. Almost opposites balancing each other out, helping each other out with their weaknesses. And just towards the end, to avoid spoilers, just helping each other out and making things great.
So this is going to be my both a pro and a con.
So
Anyway, so this will lead into my last pro and then into our cons. I thought the villains were really good. I thought Kingpin and Prowler were great. There's some other ones that show up that are awesome. My big pro is I thought Kingpin's motivations were great.
yes,
I thought it was cool. He was a threat. It was awesome to see him like this.
Mm-hmm.
My con is that I also feel like none of them get the development they truly deserve.
I agree
And
with that.
I get that it's not their movie. It is Miles first and foremost. And that's also another con I have is that I feel like, and you probably agree with me, is that the Spider-Men outside of him, Peter, and debatably Gwen don't get the screen time they truly deserve.
And that's really my only thing that I have. I wouldn't even say a problem with this movie because this movie's fantastic. I just felt like if you would have taken Miles and Peter, obviously this is like their movie, and then you add in Gwen, at that point you could have stopped and just focused on those three and building their dynamic. It's nice to see Spider-Noir, it's nice to see Penny Parker, and it's nice to see Spider-Pig, but they don't have nearly as much time or presence as the others, and that also detracts from your villains because you're trying to make us care about Miles and Peter at the same time, and there's just a whole lot of characters that you're trying to pay attention to. Not that they're bad, but it just feels like it's extra that you could have done in a separate movie, and from what I understand, a sequel is already confirmed.
Just to pause for a second, Zach said Spider-Pig, it is Spider-Ham.
Spider-Ham.
Spider-Pig is the Simpsons movie.
Well, okay.
Just so
Yeah,
I don't
let's
hear about
clear that
this,
out.
let's...
Peter Porker, okay?
Alright.
I'm sorry.
You know, and just my con kind of goes with the villains as well. You know, Kingpin was great. His motivation was there. But there wasn't really any groundwork for the motivation of the other villains in this film. You know, they were kind of just there to almost be fan service.
Mhm.
Not that that's bad. It was cool seeing those characters. But there was, like, no development of why they were there.
Mm-hmm.
They were just kind of a presence in the movie.
Which this movie, I feel like, is both for the general public and for the Spider-Man fan.
Oh, yeah.
So
Absolutely.
I feel like it's hard to be super critical on some of this stuff as much as I am. That I don't think it really detracts from the movie because the movie expects you to know a lot of this stuff. Like, it doesn't hold your hand with a lot of this, like, backstory and characters.
Right.
So with that, we'll give our... Oh, did you want to say something?
No, I'm good.
Okay, we'll give our final verdicts. For me, it's a 9.5. It is great. It is the best Spider-Man movie, period. I cannot wait to see. I hope the sequels, spin-off, whatever they do are as good. I'm so excited for the future of this franchise. I think it's a phenomenal movie, and I can't wait to see where it goes.
Yeah, I would have to agree. 9.5 out of 10. I normally don't do decimals for ratings, but minus that one complaint, this is a solid 10.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's
Yeah.
my score.
I don't do decimals, so it's a 9 out of 10 for me. You know, this was probably my favorite animated movie. I'm still kind of going between if Homecoming's better or Into the Spider-Verse is better. I just go back and forth on those two, but it was a fantastic movie through and through.
Well, thanks for checking us out. Please see this instead of Aquaman.
Amen.